The Nintendo Wii, home to such a great collection of wonderful games. So many of my childhood memories were found here, like the first time I booted up Wii Sports, or when I delved into the crazy world of Super Mario Galaxy. But one game in particular stood out in the sea of games and shovelware as the system got older. That game was Mario Kart Wii. Welcome to Days at the Races, where me and my friend Sporadic get to take a look back on the Mario Kart games that have been released and just talk about our feelings on each title. We are going back in time through each release, from 8 all the way to the very first title.
Ain't been in these parts in a while. Lots changed, huh? Mario Kart Wii is the one game that got me truly hooked onto this entire series as a whole. Despite not having much cash on us at the time, my folks really didn't mind getting the game for me when I turned 11, until I played the game so much it nearly pissed them off. But there was a reason I played this game so much. There was so much replay value in it for me, and even to this very day, people were still uprooting stuff about this game and how it was designed and structured. From multiple discovered shortcuts to a lot of track-breaking glitches, to finding out where all the key checkpoints are in a track, even pinpointing the item probability correlating to what rank you're in at any given time, this is basically the Mario Kart series' version of a gold mine. Let's see what they added this time.
Being the very first Mario Kart game on the Wii, it was obvious there would be newer features in these games. Take motion controls for example. This was the Wii's main shtick. I mean, they even made a whole wheel just to take the experience and make it feel more immersive. Which, to Nintendo's credit, it did help. I rarely use motion controls for this game though, since when I play Mario Kart, I actually like to feel like I'm in control of my character. And with motion controls, it always felt very lacking to me. It was always moving left and right in a sporadic sort of nature. No pun intended. But using a nunchuck and Wiimote or GameCube controller work very, very well. Plus, I mean, this sparked the whole tilt controls meme. Now, onto the items, which in my opinion were pretty alright. The Mega Mushroom and Pal Block are added into this game, along with the dreaded Thundercloud. Oh boy. These items were okay and nice additions, but aren't as fun as items that were added in future games in my honest opinion. Except the Mega Mushroom. I loved that item. Just being able to use the iconic power-up from New Super Mario Bros. On the DS feels so fun in this game, and I'd love to see it in future titles. The Pal Block does, well, get this. Who would have thunk it? The Thundercloud just puts a little cloud over your character and shrinks you if you can't bump into someone to move the cloud directly to them. Honestly, combined with the item balance, it makes this game some of the most chaotic with item choices, which is thrilling. There were 2 other smaller features such as Mario Kart Channel, which lets you download ghosts to race them in your actual game, and tournaments.
Some time ago, there was data found that hinted at a mission mode that was supposed to be in the game, but was scrapped later on down the line. It eventually was turned into the tournaments. These small events had objectives that had to be done, usually within a time frame, and they happened twice a month. There was actually a time where I competed in these. Some of the ones I remember vividly are the one-on-one race with Dry Bowser in 64 Bowser's Castle, Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong tossing banana peels everywhere in DK's Jungle Parkway, racing on Grumble Volcano backwards, and running through a tougher version of Bowser Castle. There were also other missions, like having to pass through the rings on a certain part of a track, or a simple race against the AI, and one very, very specific callback to Super Mario Galaxy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then I'm going to assume you were born last week. That aside, one of the more well-known features debuting in this game is the motorcycles. It didn't take long for them to grab the spotlight, but it's obvious that that ain't going away anytime soon. And of course, if there was going to be motorcycles, one would obviously want to pop a wheelie or 5 to celebrate. Guess what? That's in the game as well. As a matter of fact, the wheelies give you a small speed boost the longer you hold on to it. That's the trade-off with the vehicles in the game. The karts can have orange drift boosts, but the bikes can wheelie, gaining speed while doing so. However, You'll want to be more careful when spamming that wheelie. Getting bumped in that state is worse than having both wheels on the ground. You'll come to a near stop. But if that ever does happen, you could just hold down the gas and brake buttons and you'll get a standing boost. That's new in the game too. The standing boost is pretty necessary when front running a race or needing a quick comeback. Usually recommended when hit by an item or a wall or by someone else, but if a mushroom or a boost pad are nearby, I wouldn't worry too much about it. One more thing, there's 12 racers out on the battlefield this time around. For the first time in the series, there's more than 8 people at once in a race. Congratulations! Now there's more people you have to fight against for a gold trophy.
The roster for Mario Kart Wii is one of my all-time favorites due to the wide variety of wait, why is everyone playing as Funky Kong? The characters in this game made Wii feel like an expanded version of Mario Kart DS. All sorts of characters return, and the ones that matter to me being Daisy, Daisy, and Daisy. Yeah, I have no shame. All jokes aside, the roster was really interesting, bringing in Dry Bowser for the first time, King Boo, and the Space Princess herself, Rosalina from Mario Galaxy. Fun fact too, if you have a save file for Mario Galaxy on your Wii or Wii U, she was actually just unlocked at the jump. Comparing this to getting a 1-star on each Mirror Cup really shortens the process for an arguably a personal favorite character of mine. The unlock process for these characters is super fun too. Throughout these videos I keep myself playing the set game for footage, research, and overall fun. But in each one so far, being 7 and 8, unlocking the characters hasn't been a fun process or even super engaging. However, in Wii, each CC will have something to obtain. You would get carts, characters, bikes, and maybe even a rock. Who knows? All I know is Mario Kart Wii had one of my favorite unlock processes in the entire series, and to this day I would probably just create a fresh save even after I completed one just to do it all again. It makes for a fun time or a good time killer on a fresh save, and got me interested in this game all over again. The roster as a whole was pretty fantastic. A few characters, or in this case one in particular, got on my nerves a little too much. But still, I find myself enjoying looking at the full list of characters to choose from. Whether it's from nostalgia or not is entirely up for debate, but the roster in this game is really solid.
So, in this game, there are only 2 vehicles that are actually viable, the Flame Runner and the Mach Bike. The end. I kid. This game's got 12 vehicles for each weight class this time around, and I'm pretty sure most people would call this batch unforgettable. It was a pretty big variety, like the fish corpse, the dolphin corpse, the bullet casing, and my personal favorite, the stuffed Kamek. I'll see myself out. That aside, the variety for vehicles was pretty wide. There were karts and bikes, and beyond that, there were bikes that drifted outward, and there were bikes that drifted inward, most of them going to the lightweights. There were also sport bikes and cruiser bikes, my personal favorite, for the heavyweights, and for the midweights, they got a few sport bikes and wait, am I reading this right? A scooter? Did you let Narukami in again? Carrying over from DS, the stat specifics remain the same. Speed, acceleration, weight, handling, drift, and replacing the item section in DS, it is now off-road and MIDI turbo. Acceleration, handling, and off-road went hand in hand, as did speed, weight, and drift. Matter of fact, you can tell some small differences on the tracks as well. Most noticeable one I can think of is DS Desert Hills. Inward drifting bikes slide a bit, kinda like if it was outward drifting in some weird way. There's a few others like that as well. Sherbet Land, Shy Guy Beach, Dry Ruins. It's pretty safe to assume that most tracks that aren't made of asphalt are going to be like that to the inward drifting bikes. Enough about the retro courses, I've got the reins on the Nitro courses this time. The Nitro courses. Where do I even begin? The Nitro courses were an absolute blast inside and out. I've got a whole library of stories of each and every single one of the 16 Nitro tracks, and I can name off when and where. These courses really shone through during the time trials, where so much can and has in fact been discovered. How much exactly depends on the track. There were some tracks that were pretty upfront and simple, and there were others that had a lot more depth to them. Take Luigi's Circuit for example. Not a whole lot from this course, the only thing really discovered about it is the shortcut at the very end. Then there's a course like, say, Mushroom Gorge. A few shortcuts across the track, and an ultra shortcut that isn't exactly easy to pull off. I can't even think of a single track with no shortcuts or glitches found, to be quite honest. Some of the courses with the most found in them were Grumble Volcano, Dry Ruins, Maple Treeway, and Coconut Mall. Every single one of these tracks, except Dry Ruins, has a glitch that can be exploited and used as an ultra shortcut. Grumble Volcano in itself has multiple shortcuts and even has a respawn glitch if you don't do the rock hop cut. If you don't know that term, look it up. Maple Treeway has a very specific route that can be taken 3 times to complete the course easily. You just have to be really careful because most of it is out of bounds and there's a shortcut in there that does in fact not count the lap. Mario Circuit and Wario's Gold Mine both have glitches in them that are used solely for time trials. You can skip most of the tracks if you don't hit any key checkpoints between glitching and running to the line to count as a lap. The catch to all this? Not all the shortcuts are worth it. Some, like trying to go on the inside at one turn on Waluigi Stadium, is more so trying to stay on the side, and it's really punishable if you go off-road without a mushroom, especially if you have the Flame Runner and the Mach Bike. Those things are terrible off-road. The effort is more than the outcome, and it becomes a long cut. There's also a cut in Waluigi Stadium where you can skip most of the starting turns, but the lap doesn't count for that. All that aside, all of these tracks are great to learn how to run, and each one of them didn't at all feel similar to one another. I speak from when I used to run time trials on a good few of these tracks, mainly Bowser's Castle and Rainbow Road.
So I guess this time around we got switched out for the courses, huh? Well, I don't mind, seeing as how Sporadic loved Wii's Nitro course selection, as did I. I'll let him have it. Retro courses though? Well, I gotta say, this was the early days of retro courses where there were more remasters or ports than full-on track updates like they are now. However, I've seen people say these courses play exactly like their predecessors. And to that I say, you're kind of right. I mean, they do, but with Wii's new mechanics, spikes, and new items, it all helps the courses feel distinct enough as an experience to the other. The selection varies, but a lot of the courses I tended to enjoy were tracks from Double Dash and DS. I love these courses so much, and seeing courses like Delfina Plaza and Peach Beach return in this iteration was great, and I have a fun time trialing on these courses like I did back then with DS and Double Dash. The retro courses definitely capture the nostalgia from the originals and are a big reason I go through these courses a lot if I'm feeling up for it. Surprisingly, the retro courses that were remasters from Super Circuit look really nice here. They have a distinct look that feels 2D and 3D at the same time, which is nice. Same goes for the courses for Super Mario Kart as well. Despite these courses being the same in a lot of aspects, the one thing that popped off from Wii was the amount of glitches found in the Retro Cups. There are so many that I never even knew existed. For instance, on Peach Beach, you can clip through one of the trees at the end of the course. Afterwards, if done correctly, you'll be put onto the other side, which actually counts the lap. Another one that comes to mind in the retro courses is SNES Ghost Valley 2. When you boost with a mushroom or a mini turbo into the pole right next to the finish line, you can actually clip through it and you'll end up in the bottomless pit. And if you didn't notice, this skips a huge portion of the course, and it's really cool to be seen whether it's in a speedrun or just as a showcase. As a whole, these courses are fun trips down memory lane, and with the item balance and new mechanics, it makes them worth revisiting. The Mario Kart Wii soundtrack has to be one of, if not the most iconic in the series. I know some may point to 64, but I put my foot down and will say I remember most, if not all, of Mario Kart Wii's songs. Each song here really complements the game as a whole and really helps keep certain tracks in your mind for days, weeks, and even years to come. For instance, I never really initially cared for Daisy Circuit, but after hearing that jovial song dozens and dozens of times, I ended up gravitating towards loving the track as a whole just from the music. Each song is memorable to me for some odd reason, and I can't just point my finger as to why. Maybe it's nostalgia or something else. I'm not sure. All I know is my love for this game stems from the music. Courses like the aforementioned Daisy Circuit solidify that, but so do a few others. Maple Treeway is one I think about anytime I need a song to chill out to. The course itself is set in my favorite season, which is fall, and on top of that, the chorus gives off this cozy jazz vibe without the music even having to play at all. On top of that, the instruments chosen here make these chords and melodies pop out way more to me. Just driving around as the leaves fall down makes me feel at home in a weird way, or like revisiting an old friend. It's all thanks to the chorus being great, and mainly, the music. The last chorus that comes to mind when I think of the music for this game is none other than Coconut Mall. Now, I know the chorus isn't everyone's favorite, but honestly, I really enjoy it. The music helps out on that department highly in that regard. The course itself is taking place in this mall, and that alone is a crazy setting. Not so crazy when you compare it to most tracks, but let's just say in a realistic sense, driving 12 carts or bikes in a mall is something else. Regardless, the music really helps keep that crazy exciting energy up by playing a very upbeat song that just fills your ears with joy. Anytime I visit this course in a race or time trial, I tend to just bob my head back and forth to the song as I play, and I honestly cannot help it. The song is just way too catchy. As a whole, the music here speaks entirely for itself, and no matter how much I ramble, I will always end up at the end result of Mario Kart Wii has a great soundtrack.
I'll be the first to admit, this was the first game in the series where I played online, but I didn't spend much time there. Although, it was crazier for me than MK7 and MK8 both. I dived in around 2010, back when the FTW hackers were pretty much running amok. Believe it or not, the third online race I ever did, there was a hacker there with infinite blue shells. He was able to drag them and launch them before the race even started. And guess who was in pole position for that race? Then, there were those who consistently spammed the Mega Sherman Star combo. That was particularly infamous during the time I was online, and at one point, considered normal even. During the, say, year and a half, 2 years I was online, it turned into a rhythm, basically. FTW hacker, FTL hacker, good race, FTL hacker, good race, FTW hacker. You get my point. I don't have many good memories of online outside of tournaments, but I do actually have a story. There was one moment that was just absolutely funny to me. Let me paint this picture for y'all. I was about 12 years old, bored out of my mind one summer day, and I was running online for a couple of hours. Then, the funniest thing honestly happened. Get this. Mushroom Gorge was picked, and when the race finally loaded up, I had okay-ish internet at the time. I was the only person at the starting line. I was sitting there in what would have been 9th place, and nobody else was around. Everyone else disconnected, and I basically got free VR for that entire race that I quote-unquote won. I honestly couldn't believe it. I did the only thing possible, really. I laughed my ass off. I'm serious. My old man caught me in the living room laughing my head off. It was single-handedly the funniest thing I'd seen in the Mario Kart game. Long story short, MK Wii Online before the custom servers, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with it. After that was, to tell you the truth, I've been away from online for several years. I'd have to dive back into it again.
I have very fond memories of playing through Mario Kart Wii, as I do with almost every entry in the franchise. But Wii scratches an itch I otherwise would have never noticed, especially when replaying the game for this video. I remember loving this game a lot back then, but I never remembered how much. Well, let's just say I might be hooked all over again. Something about this game's mechanics, item balance, character roster, and carts all feel fantastic and work very well together. I jokingly said that this game is Mario Kart's version of Melee in several conversations, but with how in-depth the game can get and with all the tech information the community has dug up over the years, it's not really a joke, and it kind of feels more like a true statement now than ever. Mario Kart Wii has the most dedicated community that can be seen to this day through speedruns, content creators, and even full-on mods for the game that include custom tracks and even bringing the Wi-Fi servers back. But that'll be for another day. This game has a die-hard community behind it, and I'm glad to be back into it And honestly, replaying the game in general was some of the most fun I had in Mario Kart in quite some time. With that, I'll see you guys in the next one.